Why would the front part be better than the back part? Huh? What do seabirds usually do in the ocean? Yeah, do they go like this and swim on their back and go
paddle
to
the sea?
Huh?
Or float?
They float right here, right? That's always touching the sea. So it's probably going to be the warmest part of a skin. And then they also called it their ulach. Ulach means house. Same thing as saying house. When you had a sach and you took it out on an ikyach and you paddled, you would put it on. It would be your tent. It would be your jacket. It was your ulach. It was your home away from home. If you had two, you were really, really rich. It was very, very difficult for people to have two. While you're wearing one, you might spend the next year killing the birds, drying the skins, sewing them together to make your next parka. And mostly men wore them. Eventually, women started to wear them too, but mostly it was men, because men were the ones that were out in the ikyach hunting and getting the birds and paddling. And they needed to be protected, because if they died, then nobody was getting food back at the barabara, the ulach. So birds were very, very important. And in fact, women would be the ones that would wear the fur more so than the men, because they were mostly on land taking care of stuff in the village. Okay, on this front of this page, below the volute that looks like a bird's head and beak, and above it there's other things. There's birdskin parkas, there's ikyach, the decoration on the kayaks, all the hunting implements, and the hunting hats, the kayathun. Say kayathun. Kayathun. Those were those high hats that were very, very, they're high. That's why they're called kaya. Kaya is basically high hat. All the headgear, hunting gear, everything was adorned with birds. Ivory carvings of birds. These side plaques or volutes were on the hats. And how many of you wear a cross? How many of you wear a cross? Or how many of you know about what it means to wear a cross? Why would you wear a cross, Preston? Because somebody told you to. What about you? Why do you wear a cross? To be safe. To be safe. You believe in Christ. You wear that cross. And to be safe. Some people need to feel it and hold it and know and be reminded of Christ and what he did. What a wonderful, wonderful man he was while he was here on this planet. And so we still keep him. Those side plaques is same thing. When a hunter went out and they had that bird head, it was like protecting them. Up at the top of the page, there are a circle and dot. There's a circle and dot on my tattoo. What do you think that would symbolize if it had to be part of a bird? What do you think looks like that on a bird? Eye. Yeah. Birds seem to see very well. They have littler eyes than us. You know? They're like, they can be way up there and they can see us. So one time I heard that slukach, seagulls, could live to be 90 years old. So every once in a while I go outside and they're flying over. I sometimes whistle and I wonder, did you see me when I was like 4 or 5? I wonder. And so I respect them because they're my elders. If they're older than me and they live that long, they must know me. And sometimes I think they do. If I whistle a certain way, the birds will be really far away and they'll come. It's like, do I whistle like everybody else, or do they know that's me? Bird's eye. And the reason the bird's eye was very important to Unangach, all of you, and you're here only because 10,000 years ago, your ancestors survived. If they died, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. So they had to survive. So what they did was, usually if you look on the back of the first page, there are 3 drawings. There's another volute. See the other volute? And right smack dab in the middle of the head of the volute is a bird's eye symbol. Okay? So bird's eyes were put there because how many of you can see with your own eyes? Raise your hand. How many of you can hear with your own ears? Raise your hand. How many of you can smell with your own noses? Raise your hand. How many of you can taste things with your mouth? How many of you can feel when somebody touches your skin? Right? Those. How many senses are those? 5. Do you have more senses?
Yes.
What?
Oh, no.
You do. Sometimes you go, oh, that's wrong. I don't think I should go there. That's not what I should do. Oh, I need to do that. Even if it's tough and it hurts, I need to do that because it's going to make me a better person. It's going to help that elder. It's going to save someone's life. That's the sixth sense. That's what our people saw the bird as having. And mostly because they flew, their wings carried those bird's eyes and being able to see things. And so you have an Aleut hunter, your ancestors, out in the Ikya, paddling. He's got that hat on. All of a sudden there's waves all around, and he's supposed to hunt and get all of you food. And he's out there in the storm. Can he see the storm? Can he hear it? Can he probably smell it and taste the salt of the sea? And feel the wind and the salt burn and everything? And when they're in those situations, they have to use that sixth sense and say, okay, I have to imagine myself above this storm like a bird, looking down to see where I am. I have to do things a little bit differently to figure out, because I need to survive and go back home and feed my family. Or if they're at war, I need to protect my village from those people that want to kill them, those types of things. So we all have that sixth sense. And sometimes we just need to be reminded that we have it. In the same way, having a crucifix or a cross is a way for people to have a spiritual connection. And Jesus was the one that really was probably one of the best at that he could reach so many people. And the same thing with that volute. It was, I got to remember this. I have to remember. Maybe I have to pray that I don't die at the sea, in the sea. I have to think like a bird. Okay, there's birds up there. That must mean that I'm close to shore. And my dad told me a story about when you're out hunting, fishing. They have GPS now for fishermen. They can tell where they can see things on a map. But they couldn't. When it was very foggy and he would be out fishing, if they saw birds flying this way in front of them, they knew that the island was on the other side, because birds usually fly along the shore. If most of them are flying along the shore, you might have birds going like this, passing you, and they're going, they're flying out or flying back in. Very important to our survival, birds. We would not be here if it weren't for them.
We were reading about the New Zealanders, remember? And the fairy tern? The tern? I forget if that was exactly it. But that they had the similar observations, so they knew when they were getting near land because of the birds' behavior.
Yep. You have to watch them. And some of us are a little like, if we have inunuk, maybe a little bit of fear for myself. If I don't want to, don't even want to sometimes smash a fly or anything, because I never know if it'll come back and haunt me. And one time I was out chichki hunting, and I swung my bamboo up, and I knocked, and there was a chichki flying, and I knocked its wing off. And the bird went in the water, and I couldn't do anything, and I knew it wasn't going to live, because now that it's exposed, it's going to die of hypothermia and not be able to fly too. So I still have the wing, and I keep the wing just for me to remember that bird, whose life I took, and I didn't get to taste it. They taste really good too. So I don't know. I'm going to probably stop here so everybody else can, Paul and Mark can go on. But if you want to share and read this, then please do. I just wanted to mention before, if you look at this picture, in the back, have you ever heard of Thunderbird?
Mm-hmm.
How many of you heard of Thunderbird, like a mythological bird that's huge and is human and animal, and it can kill things and save things too? Well, our people had a Thunderbird, and this particular drawing here is a Thunderbird that showed up on a kayatun, on a hat. And there is a whale and a human in the claws of this Thunderbird. Okay? So I just wanted to let you know what Thunderbird means, what it symbolizes. And it's on this paper, but I'll read it. Thunderbird is presently, in this day and age, identified as a mythological being. Mythological could be not true. Mythological from native perspective means way before time. We have a word for kadangin, people that have lived, ancestors long, thousands of years ago. Identified as a mythological being which had the power to kill on land and on sea, both animal and human. Bird imagery on hat, masks, or hunting gear. When I say hat mask, if you looked at that picture, it looks like a mask with eyes on either side. The belief was that if you had a beautiful hat, that you would attract animals. So our ancestors wore these beautiful hats. The men went out in their ikyak and they were beautiful. The men had to be beautiful to attract the animals, and sea otter especially. So these would be considered hat masks or hunting gear. It's symbolic of the Thunderbird realm. Thunderbirds were alien to human domain. They didn't exist here, but could get involved in human affairs. This non-human power was symbolically harnessed by means of bird imagery, enabling man to go after prey in hunt or in war, activities which allowed his family and group to survive. Could the hunter invoke this power? And that was what they were always trying to do. How do I have the Thunderbird be on my side and for me to succeed? Okay? So, read this.
Do you know where these excerpts were taken from?
Yes, and I did underline them. Did you get a copy?
I can get a copy.
Okay. So, on the first page in the book, Lori Remembered, it's underlined.
Okay.
It's the title of a book. And I realized in the other one, in regards to circle dot meanings, and Fiona Riordan, The Mask, The Eye of the Dance, is what she wrote about circle and dots. And it's not only in Unangan systems, it's also in the Yupik, Chupik, Inupiaq, people that we would call Eskimos.
Do you have time for 3 or 4 questions?
I do.
The gentleman transition to... Anybody have a question that they thought of that would be appropriate to ask? We brainstormed some things this morning, and there's a couple that I heard that might apply to some of what you wrote down.
Is that a stretch or a hand raise? No questions? I think one thing I would like to say before I stop is these volutes, take them and try drawing one. This one is the one that's on the page with the hat mask, the kayatun, and the Thunderbird, is one that I drew for my son Damien. It tells the story of his family lineage on my side of the family, that he's the 6th generation of the Lestenkov bloodline, although he's a Bordakovsky. So he wanted a traditional design, and he has it, instead of wearing, he's not going to walk around with a hat all the time now, he did it as a tattoo on his arm, so it's on his arm. And now he wants to add more stuff to it. So for him, he wears that like this, and basically there's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sort of circle and dots. He's the 6th generation of a Lestenkov Russian Unanga bloodline. Okay, so you think about these things. How would I do this? How would I make this shape? How would I have my own Thunderbird design with my family? or my family's feats and survival and those types of things.
Okay, last chance.
Going.
Come on, Marjorie. You asked me if it's a good question to ask. I agree it is a good question to ask.
Did the skins and feathers for clothing keep people warm?
Or just dry?
That is a very, very good question. And I didn't put it in here if you read the books. Yes. Here's what they would do. When it was raining and wet and sea ducks and seabirds stay on the water, right? What do the ducks have their skin touching the water or their feathers? So, if your ancestors were wearing a sach, and it was raining, do you think the feathers would be out or in? Huh? Think of a bird. They're going to mimic the bird, the sach.
What do you think?
If it's raining and wet,
What are the birds?
what's going to be the skin side outside, inside out, or feather side out?
Feather side out.
Yeah. And then if it was dry and chilly, how many of you have a down comforter that's full of feathers? I do. I love that thing. It's light. The feathers will go in to keep warm when it's chilly and dry. So the feathers will be against the skin, and then feathers dry fast, and then they would turn it the other way. So it was reversible. And sometimes, if they really needed to, they would have a gut skin rain jacket. There's a Russian word is kamlika. In Aleut, it's chigda. Can you say chigda? Chigda. Yeah, chigda. It's their RAI rain jacket, and they would put it over them if they needed to. So just like we do layers, our ancestors did layers too. Yeah, good question. Any more? Yes.
What did they always use Seabird for? Back in history. That's our answer for.
What did our ancestors use seabirds for?
Yeah.
Back
in history. So
Back
you told
in history.
us the parkas, you told us...
Yes. The spiritual part. The watching, the Thunderbird part. I can't think of anything off the top of my bird head that didn't come up in... I think the imagery is probably because we don't have any bird skin parkas that survived history, it's hard. But the imagery and artwork tells us how important it was for our people. And so, for you that go shopping at Gap and Old Navy, I was going to say Army Navy, Old Navy, do the imagery, study the birds, and start doing some artwork, because the art form is what will keep it going until the day maybe you will have to make a chigda. Dancing and dancing regalia. In fact, buchchoch, the pretty birds with the pretty beak, what are they also called in English?
It's one of your birds you're researching. You're looking at me like you know.
What? Yeah, the puffins. Yes. They would take those beaks and hang them at the ends on dance dresses, but if you were really, really good at getting a bunch of puffins, they had sleeves. They pulled them up on the arms, and they would shake and dance. And what do you think it would be making noise. It would be like a rattle. So they were like arm rattles when they came out, and they had certain dances, and they shook them. All the beaks would be bumping against each other and rattling. So for entertainment and telling stories. Does that help? Add to that? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I have to go and catch a plane.
Safe travels.
Thank you. And I'll leave, did you get a copy? Nighttime reading. somebody will give you a text later.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes. Monday morning.
Okay. Okay, ours is a little bit more modern. This is kind of going into the modern era of today.
Yes.
And
Important.
we're kind of like we focus on an actual individual hunt, what we do today, and the hunting regions that we go into, what to look for, what how to prepare yourself, safety issues, just a variety of things. We'll start off with, first of all, by identifying birds, what we actually hunt out there. And I'm going to go ahead and quickly, someplace. Okay. Get into that. Before I get into birds, let me come over to this map here. This is long-term trending surveys, winter sea duck and gull surveys that we've been doing over the years with Island Sentinel. And we actually go out there with handhelds and collect data on different species, mainly these targeted birds here. And this is for the Fish and Wildlife data, but I thought I'd just go ahead and use the map to kind of just give you a general illustration, especially the landmarks, approximately where the birds are located at, on and around the island. Let's see here.
Where is this poster located? Because that would be something that we could...
This is at the tribal building, Eco Conservation. So, you coincide some of these dots here. The buckleheads, they kind of hang out in the lagoon area. You see this red dot here? And the size of the dot represents the amount that has been surveyed through a period of time. And so forth. Harlequin, they're kind of like out toward Sea Line Rock, Reef Point area, they're found. Same with long-tailed ducks, East Landing toward the reef area. The white-winged scroter are more or less on the west side of the island. When you look out, they're kind of more, probably 700-800 yards out in large groups through the survey. But these are the kind of birds that are normally here through the winter. Wanted to get into specifics as far as hunting regions on the island are done mainly on the east side, northeast side of the island, where you would go to Northeast Point area and Reef area are mainly the two major hunting regions for St. Paul.
Now, St. George, you guys are going to have to ask somebody there, if you don't already know, where your main seabird hunting areas are, because I don't know.
It's roughly, yeah, for our area, it's Northeast Point and Reef area, down in this area. Can't think of any other area. And the duck species that we focus on during this winter duck season are the king eider, the male. These are all male birds. Okay, see how colorful that is.
And I think we had a female king eider in the classroom. Remember, we did the oiled feathers. At least 2 of those were female king eiders. So you notice the difference between the plumage
and the harlequin. Longtail. white-winged scoter.
Do you see any white on the wing though?
It's
Where do
under
you think?
it.
What?
It's under it.
It's under it.
Where's that one? Black scoter. See the orange beak? And this is a common eider. These are mainly the ducks us local hunters focus on during the winter time. And I wanted to show you some additional birds that you've seen wandering around the island, and occasionally we'll come across them, and we can shoot them and eat them. And here is the bufflehead. And these hang out mainly in the lagoon area. The bufflehead. I keep getting this, add St. George to it. This is the Barrow's goldeneye. And the common goldeneye. Okay? And along with the ducks, you have endangered species we have to look out for. You have to know which duck is endangered. You have to be able to identify the ducks that are coming at you when you're hunting, and make sure that you're not killing an endangered species. Okay? Spectacle eider.
Probably called spectacle because why? What's a spectacle?
See?
To see, so that glasses ring maybe spectacle?
What is this? You've seen it.
See it louder.
Goose.
It's an emperor geese, or goose. Okay? They hang out here. Occasionally you'll see 3 or 4 of them here and there along the marshes or along the shoreline. This is also an endangered species. Stellar eider. Okay, you have to focus on this. When you see them out there in the water, you just don't want to kill anything. Just shoot the bird, just to shoot the bird. Okay, because you could be, find some large amount of money if you shoot one of these. Okay?
So is there a listing somewhere or a book of what
Yeah.
what you should or I mean obviously the endangered species.
The regulations, and I brought the spring and summer 2012 regulatory book, bird book, bird harvest book down here.
That comes in the mail, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and it gives you in great detail what birds are available, what seasons, and what's eligible out there, harvesting areas, and who is eligible. If you're a local who's been on the island or been in residence for at least a year, you're eligible to hunt and harvest. So, according to this. Okay, now that we have identified the birds, we have in the back of our minds what birds we're looking for, what to hunt for, okay? We've established that. Now, we'll get into observing weather conditions. I want to go out hunting tomorrow, okay? And I can't just jump in my truck and just take off out to Northeast Point. I have to take in consideration everything that's out there. The weather conditions, wind direction, climate, wind chill, the sea ice conditions, just a variety of things. Before, I have to look at the forecast and see what the weather's going to be like for tomorrow. And take that all in consideration on whether I go hunting or not. Okay? I don't want to go out there when it's blowing 60 miles an hour and it's, -5 below zero. And those conditions are just not right for sea duck hunting. Okay. it plays an important role on safety. It's safety first, and going from there. Proper hunting gear. So I did my forecast, and the weather looks good. On at northeast point, the wind's going to be blowing about 20-25 out of the northeast, and the surf is probably going to be roughly around 8 to 10 feet, and the wind's out of the northeast. So it looks good for tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead the night before, start preparing what I need to have and to take on my hunting trip. So the gear that I'm going to need. Would you dress up like that to go hunting tomorrow morning if I asked you to come? What would you put on? Some socks maybe? It's good enough, right? Well, I brought my nephew with me today to at least demonstrate how I would actually, the stuff I would actually put on to go hunting tomorrow morning. Okay? And I'm going to get this out, and he is going to put this stuff on for me, or for you guys. Come on. Oh, you are? Mark, you want to run and get those boots out of my truck? Can we have them? I know they're in the back of my truck. They're right on the floor in the back. Really clearly.
Not gonna wear pants when you go out either.
Okay. Yeah, he can't get into. We're not gonna let him get onto his boxers. Okay? We won't let him do that. But can you stand over here? And I'm getting dressed. This is what I wear in the morning. It's basically thermal, sub-zero. It's kind of a thick long johns. Any questions so far?
Do you guys have hunting questions that you wrote down that you can ask as he dresses? Would be.
Well, I will. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But mine's after.
If you should look at your paperwork, it shows you exactly what I'm focusing on here. Proper hunting gear for the weather. Waterproof clothing are a must. So everything you have should repel some kind of water.
What's Dallas for dress?
Faster than that.
Have you ever watched Dallas get dressed before?
Here's some underpants. It's thermal pants, just like the ones I have on. They're very water repellent. This is going out to Northeast Point in the morning and sitting on the rocks for 2 to 3 hours. You got to keep that in mind. Along the shoreline, the wind is going to be blowing about 20 miles an hour, and wind chill is probably around 0, and you're going to be sitting there. The wind's going to be blowing in your face. It's going to be really, really cold. So you have to think about that even before going out. Okay? It's going to be a little bit big for him. At least get an understanding. You probably put the sweater underneath that, but that's fine. I normally put another thin jacket over, but he's going to put a sweater. To simulate a jacket. You won't have to don't have to lace up the boots or anything like that. Slip your feet inside the boots. These are winter rated boots down to minus 40 degrees. It's 2000, I think, Thinsulate. And they're good winter boots. You can sit out there for hours and your feet not get cold. It helps to have some thick wool stuff. With these winter conditions now, I wouldn't be caught dead with anything less than that. What I'm putting on him. You shouldn't be out there with anything less than that. That's really important. This is a good heavy winter coat. Grab that. Just grab it. You feel all the down inside there? You feel all the down? There's a lot of down. This is some thick 800, what do they call it? 800 something down. Just feel, it's just like a quilt. You quilt at home? A good thick quilt. But this is a thermal rated jacket. Extreme cold weather. When you're out there, a face mask is really, really important. Because you have wind blowing off the shoreline, and it's extremely cold. So a face mask is really, really important. Then you put a hat over the top of that, extra thermal wear. And your hood. He's actually, this is what it would actually look like out there sitting on the rocks. This is what he would actually have on out there at Northeast Point in the morning. And nothing less than that. Okay, we discussed the next state. Maybe give St. George a look at that. Proper field wear. That's good.
That looks like quite a few more layers than I see a lot of you guys standing around in.
Okay. You gotta think ahead when you're going to these destinations that the weather conditions. What am I going to wear? It's going to be really cold. I need to dress up. I need to bundle up. So, and this is what I would put on in the morning to go out Northeast Point for duck hunting.
Sometimes even goggles.
Yeah, goggles. They have a hard time getting in the way with lighting up the bird. So, you can go ahead and take it off. Okay? We're staying there for another 10 minutes. Thank you, Dallas. Okay, other things to take in consideration: reliable transportation. You have to think ahead. Okay, you're going 12 miles from the community And you got to think about what type of transportation is going to get me there and get back. I mean, safely. Is my truck running okay? Do I have enough gas? There's a whole bunch of stuff to think about as far as just your transportation. Are my tires aired up enough? Just small things like that to take into consideration. Having the proper equipment in your vehicle, a shovel, a tow line, just in case you guys get stuck, you at least have a shovel to try to shovel yourself out. It's stuff that you think about bringing it along with you before you leave the house in the morning. Okay? Communications. Having a cell phone is nice, but when you're on the northeast side or the north side of the island, cell phone is very limited. I have called from Hutchinson Hill on that turnaround on the west side. I was able to make a phone call from there, but it's still a walk just to get in that area. But if in the event you're out there, you do have some cell phone use out there. The VHF radio, if you have one at home, is preferred. If you have one. If not, just grab a radio. And make sure before leaving, let your family know your plans for the day. And let somebody know that you're taking off. Better yet, if you can call another friend to have them join you for duck hunting, that's even better. Having a buddy system, somebody to communicate or just have fun with. And so it's a good thing. Don't really want to go out there by yourself. Not with these conditions right now. Conditions we're having, temperatures in the 20s and winds 30, 40 miles an hour. You don't want to be out there by yourself. Even if you do get stuck, I mean, it's still going to be a chore and very unsafe. Okay? With the weather conditions, you kind of, knowing the weather conditions and the forecast, and you get out there that morning and you double check the weather, that will determine approximately where you want to go for your actual hunt, for your duck hunting. And with the weather conditions, like I said, for an example, it's blowing northeast, 10 to 25 miles an hour, and the surface around 10 feet, and the temperature is around 20 degrees. Those are the ideal conditions for duck hunting out at Northeast Point. And that would and that's where I would head. I mean, the reason for you pay attention to the wind direction is the way the birds fly. A lot of us locals that have been hunting ducks for a while, when they get out to Northeast Point, there's an actual point there you're at, and you're sitting along the shoreline. The winds are coming northeast. You're at the point here, very point here. The winds are northeast coming this way. All the birds, as they surround and make their way north, the winds are going to actually push them toward the shoreline. And as the winds do that, a lot of the ducks will come within shotgun range for you to go ahead and shoot them. And which makes it ideal conditions for Northeast Point. Hunting when the island is surrounded by sea ice. You noticed, I don't know if you noticed it last year, but all those ducks that were flying in the distance over the ice and everything like that, it just always seems really active when the sea ice is around. It's because the ducks are looking for open water. And they're looking for pockets of open water, so they're constantly flying.
Would it be safe to follow them out on the ice to get a better shot?
No. That's a no-no. That is no. You look for a pocket. Usually when the ice comes in, the choice area for hunting is usually this reef neck area. Either not English Bay, but Gorbash Bay and Schnaw area will have just some opening areas there. And when those are open, then you'll have ducks flying over the hill and really ideal conditions for duck hunting. And even parts throughout the reef area and stuff like that. So let me get into the shotgun. Prior to heading out, or even leaving the house, you want to make sure that your gun is serviced, clean, and ready to go. I mean, ready to fire. You basically take it down, oil it, make sure it's everything, all the mechanical parts are working smoothly and everything like that. So this is unloaded. You can see the chamber area here. There's no shell in there. Okay.
And that's a shotgun?
This is a shotgun. Okay, this is not a rifle. This is not what I would take out on a sea lion hunt. This is strictly mainly for sea ducks, the birds that we have. This is it's a larger barrel in diameter, and it shoots shotgun shells. Okay, like I said again, the chamber is open right now, and there was no shells inside here, just to make you guys a little more secure. Okay, this is a pump. They do make them. This is a pump 12 gauge. They make them in different gauges. 10 gauge being the largest, most powerful shotgun out there. Then there's 12, and then there's 20, and then there's 16. Okay. And they make them in two versions. One is a semi-automatic, where you don't have a pump action like this to disperse or exchange around. A semi-automatic is just, you put the rounds inside there, to hold like 4 or 5 rounds, but all you have to do is just pull a trigger. And every time you pull a trigger, it ejects itself out. You don't have to pump the shotgun, excuse me. And you just continuously pull, boom, 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 boom. Whereas this one here is a pump action, and you have to literally pull the pump back to exchange to dispense the round. So it would go like this. Okay? Just like that. Making sure that your gun is serviced and clean and ready to go before your hunt. You should do it days ahead, or you should be cleaning the thing after using it, making sure when you store it, it's all ready to go on your next hunt. So,
how heavy do you think that is?
This?
10 pounds?
It's about 7 pounds, roughly 7 pounds. Not sure if I could actually have the students hold on to it.
I suppose if you made sure it was pointed to the ceiling.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you wanna come over here and just grab hold of the shotgun. And okay, this is what it feels like to hold. This is an actual adult size probably. It's usually on the hand. And you'd hold it. How you'd hold it is you pocket it into your shoulder right here, right on this little cup here. And you put it there. This is a little bit big for you, ladies, or you. And you hold it like this, and you swing. It's going to be a little heavy for you. Put your arm this way, right there. That's it. It's a shotgun. It's right there. About 7, close to 8 pounds. Same thing. Right there.